Good morning from Cordell Hull Birthplace State Park, located just north of Cookeville and just south of the Kentucky border. This is a charming little state park, kind of tucked away here in the hills of North Tennessee, and has a really cool cave, maybe the best of all Tennessee state parks. So I'm going to show you around today. No overnight camping here, just a day park, a history park. And so come along for the journey, and I'll give it a score between 0 and 100. You can see where it lines up with other day parks as well as other Tennessee state parks. The first category is natural beauty and wildlife, and I went on a very rainy summer day. The rain felt good and it made the colors pop, all the greens just coming to life, but the biggest highlight for natural beauty and wildlife was the cave. And it doesn't take a lot to get me excited when I hear the word cave, especially in regards to a day park. And this cave was absolutely spectacular. And it wasn't a just go in and come out kind of experience. You could spend hours in there. I'm going to give natural beauty and wildlife a 9 out of 10. Up next is activities, and this is worth a possible 20 points. I'm going to split it into two categories. The first is the Welcome Center side and then the natural side. So all of the history of Cordell Hull and his life was there. And you have some gardens and some really beautiful old buildings that have been rebuilt. And there's also a little, I'm going to call activity center, just kind of a meeting room for activities for kids, meeting spaces, things like that. Your normal day park things like fields to play in and picnic tables to have lunch at and play board games, all that good stuff. But I really liked the old school buildings and the replicas that they had there. They're wide open, so you can just go in and take a look at your leisure. I would say it's kind of, I guess, colonial kind of style, probably a little bit later, but they had some old sewing machines and just unique artifacts from back in the day. One of the things that I really appreciate about Cordell Hull State Park is this cabin, because there's one very similar to it, or was one very similar to it, at David Crockett Birthplace State Park. But when the floodings happened in East Tennessee this past year, all that got destroyed to my knowledge. And so I'm really grateful that they still have some of these era buildings on site to preserve the cool history of this area. All right, let's begin the 3/4 of a mile, half a mile hike to the cave here at Cordell Hull State Park. Goodness. Okay, I can tell people haven't been back here in a few days. It is a loop, so we'll see how it splits off. It is a very rainy day. It's been raining all morning, and I camped at Standing Stone last night, State Park, and woke up, and there was basically, I was sleeping in a puddle of rain, and the water had gotten inside my tent somehow, and but I stayed somewhat dry. But I think my chances of staying dry on this hike are very slim. So anywho, on with the hike. All right, I made it to the cave here at Cordell Hull, and really beautiful. I think the volunteer told me this has the second largest cave opening in the state of Tennessee. And as you can see behind me, it's really cool. And they actually give you a map to go inside. So I have my Streamlight flashlight. I'm gonna do a little more exploring. Old green piece of glass. People have been coming in here for a long time. no bats so far. There's a sign saying that there are some back here. Man, this thing goes way back. I hear a big waterfall coming up too. Sounds like an air conditioning unit just blasting through here. You can feel the cool air too. So while there weren't a ton of activities to do, the things that you could do were really, really cool. And of course, exploring God's creation doesn't get any better than that. I'm going to give activities a 14 out of 20. Up next is restrooms. Of course, you have all of the land there that you could use the restroom in. And the ones there at the Welcome Center, it gets a 7 out of 10. Up next is drivability. You are kind of in the central part of the state, but you are all the way up near the Kentucky border. I'm going to give drivability a 6 out of 10. While I didn't run into any park rangers, the staff was perfectly fine and informative there at the Welcome Center and gets a 7 out of 10. For nearby amenities, it gets a 6 out of 10. There's a gas station nearby and you can buy flashlights and things like that at the Welcome Center, so that was a nice touch as well. Up next is uniqueness. I think that the cave makes it very unique and it gets a 9 out of 10. And the final category is cost. It is 100% completely free, and it gets a perfect 10 out of 10. You put everything together and aggregate it for not having camping. The total for Cordell Hull Birthplace State Park is a 76 out of 100, which is a killer score for a day park. All right, I am leaving the cave here at Cordell Hull. And here's what I would say about the cave. One, really cool. Probably the best cave that I've been to at a Tennessee State Park. Dunbar Cave is closed most of the year, and then it's closed some days of the week, and they lock it up. The one at Cedars of Lebanon was cool, but you had to crouch just to get in the cave entrance. But I like wild caves, which is what this is. They give you a map, but it's not guided. You don't have to pay for it. You just have to register online ahead of time. So, taking these steps. I would say this is great for anyone 5 and older. So, as you can see, there's quite a climb down here, which would be a little bit harder for a preschooler. But inside the cave, it's very easy to get around. And where I walked, it wasn't slippery. A lot of times, it's just dripping from the ceiling and the rocks are super slippery. But great for families, and you should definitely check it out. It's, in my opinion, the highlight of this state park. Bring a lunch, have lunch down here, listen to the waterfalls that you hear in the background, and have a good time. I love exploring God's creation and seeing His beauty, His majesty, His strength, and His power and creativity. And while we use our words to describe the things that God has made, He uses His words to simply create. It's one of the things that makes Him God and not us.